In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these Distort effect flowers. So this is what your finished project might look like. Here's a couple of other examples. This is just a variety of different types of flowers that you can make. And here is a variety of flowers with different types of gradients that are on them. So the first thing that you're going to do is create a new document. And I'm going to call it flowers and my name, and double check that the size says letter and that the orientation is vertical, and click OK. So we are going to first use the pencil tool. I'm on number 2 on the handout. So the pencil tool is right here. I'm going to select it and then double click it so that I can get the pencil tool options. And in the options, I'm going to make the fidelity 0.5, leave the smoothness set to 0, and take off these check marks, and click OK. All right. I'm going to double check that the stroke is set to 1 point, that the stroke is black, and the fill is set to none for now. Number 4 on the handout, what I'm going to do is use the pencil tool to draw a roughly circular ovalish shape that has irregular edges. And when I get towards the beginning, where the end point and the beginning point are close to each other, I can hold down Alt on the keyboard and that automatically closes the gap. So I'm going to just continue to make progressively smaller, rough circles, oval shapes that overlap here and there but get smaller. So let's see here. Oh, I don't like that one, so I'm going to undo it. Control Z is undo, and try again. And I'm holding down Alt when I get to the center, or when the beginning point and the end point touch. And alright, we'll go with that. This rose, rose is the first flower that we're going to make. It might not end up looking that good, in which case I can just delete it and try again, because it really only took less than 30 seconds to draw it, so it's not a big deal to delete it and start over again. Alrighty, so now I am on number 6. I'm going to use the selection tool, which is the black arrow, and I'm going to draw a box around all of these lines so that the whole thing is selected. Now I'm going to go up here to the main menu to Object and select Group. So that's taken all of those separate pieces and grouped them together. Now, it's a little distracting having all of these blue lines and blue squares, so in order to hide that temporarily, what I'm going to do on the keyboard is hold down Control H. H means hide. Alright, so now all I have is the blue bordering box, which is a lot easier on the eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is add some color to this. So I'm going to go ahead and open the swatches panel, which is right over here, and I'm going to choose the radial gradient. The default colors are black and white, but we're going to change that in just a minute. So I am going to open the gradient panel right here and tear it off so that I have access to it. I'm going to go back to swatches and open the little menu on the side, open Swatch Library, go to Color Books, and you can choose whichever one you like, but I happen to like True Match. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to stretch it out so that I can see my options a little better. So it's really easy to change the colors of the gradient. I'm going to go for an unusual color, so let's do an orange rose. So I'm going to click on this dark orange right here, click hold it, and drop it right on top of the black slider. So you can see it just replaced the black with the orange that I dragged over. Now I'm going to get a lighter value of orange. Let's try this one right here. Click it, hold it, drag it over, and drop it on top of the white. Well, there's not really enough of a difference, enough of a contrast between those two colors, so I think I need to get a lighter value. Let's try this one. I think that it still needs to be a little bit lighter. Let's try this color here. Alright, there's another way that you can affect how much of the color is showing, and that's simply by clicking this and dragging it. So you can see as I move it, I can get more or less of the color to show. I actually think I like that one. So now that we have some color added to our rose, the black outlines, the stroke, look pretty terrible. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. I'm on number 13 now. So I'm going to go to the stroke menu and choose none, and that looks much better. Okay, so we can do a few more things to this rose. I'm going to hold down, with this selected, I'm going to hold down Alt and drag off a copy. So number 14 says to create a more realistic look, we are going to use an effect called Distort and Transform. So up here on the main menu, I'm going to open Effect, go down to Distort and Transform, and choose Roughen. So with Roughen, window open, I'm going to click Preview, and I am going to change the points to smooth and just start playing around with the sizes and the detail. So I want it to be a little bit rough, but I don't want it to be crazy. So that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to click OK. And I actually think that this rose does look more realistic than this top one, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this rose and stick with this one as my final. So with this rose, when I'm making my bouquet later, what I can do is rotate it. I can change the size of it a little bit if I want to, and play around with it however I like. Okay, I'm going to show you now how to make a couple of different types of flowers. So I'm going to click on this with the black arrow, which is the selection tool, hold down Alt and drag off a copy, and we're going to play around with the transform, distort and transform again. So with this row selected, I'm going to go back up to Effect, Distort and Transform, and this time I'm going to choose Pucker and Bloat. Alright, so I'm going to click Preview here. If I go towards Bloat, I get this kind of chrysanthemum look, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to go back to actually I'm going to make another copy. So hold down Alt, drag a copy off. I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to go to Effect, Distort and Transform, Roughen. And Illustrator wants to know if I want to apply another instance of the effect or apply a new effect. And I actually want to apply a new effect, so I'm going to click that. And let's see, I want smooth. I want to see the preview. Whoa, crazy. So let's see here. That looks pretty amazing. Beautiful. So I could go in on this one now and perhaps change the color. So maybe some sort of a purple. Let's take this purple here, the dark value. Ooh. And a little bit of a lighter value here. Or maybe, how about purple and a little bit of light pink? Maybe not. Anyway, that looks better. You can play around with these how you would like, and then play around with the sliders so that you can get more or less of the values showing. So there are 3 types of flowers so far, and I'm going to show you one more type. So going back to the original rose, I'm going to hold down Alt, drag off a copy. I'm going to go to Effect, Distort and Transform, go to Pucker and Bloat again, and this time I'm going to go towards the pucker side. And what that does is it creates this kind of thistle looking flower, all sharp and pointy. So I'm going to go with that. That looks pretty good there. And what color should I change this one to? How about blue? And how about another blue? Yeah, looks pretty cool. How about something like that? Play around with the sliders, get it how you want it. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that I have all my different types of flowers, I can arrange them into a bouquet. So I'm going to take this rose, make it a little smaller, maybe make a copy of it and make it even smaller, put it off to the side over here so it looks like, you know, there's some variety in the different sizes. I'm going to take this, let's see, I think I want it to be behind the rose, so I'm going to pop open the layers panel and drag that over to the side and pop open this little triangle so I can see where my purple one is. I'm going to click this to select it and drag it down here to the bottom there. So now it's behind the rose. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's get this one. Maybe I'll have this one in the front. I'll have maybe a group of three of these little poofies on the side in a cluster. I think I need another chrysanthemum up here. Okay, and I would change the colors of these so that they are not all similar colors. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. But I am not going to take the time to get all of the perfect colors. Oops. I'll let you worry about that with your own project. So you do need to take the time to get your color scheme just the way you want it, make sure that your colors are harmonious, and then add some leaves and stems and that type of thing. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to add some leaves. I'll pick a green color off of here. How about kind of a yellow-green color? Whoops. So I had the flower selected, so I'm going to deselect the flower and then get that green. I'm going to go over here to the brushes panel and choose this one. And I'm going to go to the very bottom here, get the brush tool, and go ahead and click and drag, and it's making some leaves. So now I'm going to get the black arrow and click on the leaf right click, arrange, and send to back. So I'm going to do that for most of them. Send to back. Send to back. And then I can move these around and arrange them however I think that they might look good. I'm actually going to bring this forward. Bring forward. Bring forward. Yeah, because I think it would look good if it was a little more layered. Alright, so how about I give this one a stem? So I'm just going to take the paintbrush and put a regular, oops, so I have to deselect it, Control-Shift-A, and I'm just going to click and drag so that I have a stem. I'm going to take that stem and move it so it's underneath all of the flowers. So drag it down here to the bottom. Good. So all these little blue poofies on the side, I'm going to give them stems, but I'm going to bring the stems all to the center so it looks like they're grouped together in a bouquet. And then I'm going to take those stems and drag them all down here to the bottom. Okay, come on. There we go. So now they're in the background there. So I would fuss with this a lot more if this was my final project that I'm turning in, but for demonstration purposes, I think that you get the idea. So that's it for now. Have fun.